Hello, this is Angie Korn, and I am coming to you to talk about my capstone project that was done through Kennesaw State University for the Masters of Education in Instructional Technology. The title of my project is called STEM Integration into the Science Classroom. As I evaluated Cedartown Middle School, I tried to find something that I felt would be effective for the students to engage them in an authentic learning environment and to give them new opportunities to um, use their higher order thinking skills and to be creative. I wanted to challenge my students. So, one thing that I found that was effective that we didn't already use was the STEM. So I researched some STEM and talked to my administrator about including that or implementing STEM into our Science Connections class, which was a smaller group of students, and to try it out before we tried to see about going further and implementing it with all science students. So my plan basically was to survey all the science teachers and to decide how much they knew about STEM, if they had ever used it in their classroom, and if we, how far, what kind of needs they were looking for their students. So after surveying my teachers, then I used that information to start creating some training materials and to find resources that would be appropriate for the different types of sciences. We had earth science, life science, and physical science, and I tried to find at least one or two for each discipline to be able to show them and demonstrate how STEM would work in their classroom. My plan was also to work with all the teachers in the different grade levels to do collaborative planning and to help them find things that they needed to implement. The whole plan, again, also for the students, was to for them to learn about STEM and how that is related to real world experiences, where they could take that STEM activity and turn that into a job or research it to find what type of job that is, and so it gave them that authentic learning environment where they could seek out professionals to help explain things a little deeper and for them to learn to see if maybe that might be a career choice for them. And they got to use their higher order thinking skills and their creativity skills when developing their projects and activities. So as I look back over my evaluation of my capstone project, I have where I began my project by evaluating my teachers and doing a survey to see what their needs were. I then, created the training materials based on those evaluations from those teachers or those surveys from those teachers. And then I did, a group training where I went through everything with the whole group. And then I made appointments and took time out to do individualized training with each teacher. I made sure that there was collaborative planning between myself and all the teachers of that grade level. I went in and made sure that I did classroom observations to make sure that the teachers understood what they were implementing and how to do the activities and to assist them or the students as needed. I also gave the teachers opportunities to have a question and answer session with me where I went in and we sat and we talked and I interviewed them about what they had been implementing into class and how it was going for them and if there was anything that they needed from me to help them with or, to look for anything for them. And then at the end, I'm going to do a teacher survey because as of right now, we are still implementing the STEM into our Science Connections class. But once everything is done, I'll do an ending teacher survey. And if we feel that it was effective enough and that the students really did have an authentic, engaging learning, then we want to try to push forward with administration to see if we can actually get some STEM certification going on and get more in depth with it. This capstone project was a great experience for me. I got to help my fellow teachers to implement things into their classroom that created an engaged learning environment and made it authentic because it could be related to the real world and students could make that connection. Uh, the activities that we done, we tried to do at least one STEM activity weekly. Sometimes those activities might extend on into the next week. It might take longer than just the 5 days, depending on how in depth the students wanted to go with it. And I got to see students, create things, use their creativity and their higher order thinking skills to come up with things like an egg drop contraction or a seismograph. I saw students make stringed instruments. We did a competition where students had a time limit to create the tallest standing tower as a group. And, then we gave the winners a prize, like maybe 5 minutes. I think I gave them like 5 minutes of extra recess. Also had a group that did roller coasters. So it was really, really a great experience to see these children get into these activities and really want to expand on the knowledge about these things. So as looking back on my capstone project, I learned so much about technology facilitation and being that technology coach where I come in and said, you know, what are you looking for? What do you want for your students? And then taking that information and finding exactly what the teacher was looking for. Bringing those STEM activities into the classroom was just an amazing thing for me to get to see, especially with the enthusiasm of the students and also the enthusiasm of the teachers. The teachers were really excited to be trying something different, and they really were amazed at what their students could come up with when they got to think outside the box and actually did, on their own without us actually directing them step by step. I enjoyed working with every one of my teachers, making sure that they had the supplies that they needed, that they had the information that they needed, and that they understood the activity well enough to explain it to the students. So this was a very good experience for me, and has really made me excited about being a technology coach. So some of the places where I got my information was, the website from stemteachingtools.org. That was a great website that gave me a lot of tools that I could share. I also had a book that was called STEM Labs for Middle Grades that I shared with teachers in the 7th and 8th grade for them to use those activities if they wanted to. And then, Engaging Students in STEM Education by T.J. Kennedy. That gave me a lot of my information, and also an analysis and meta-synthesis of research on STEM education from the Journal of Education and Practice. Those without those resources, I don't think I would have been able to complete this capstone.